What is going on, everybody? Can you see me? Can you hear me? This week, I think we're doing the puppy. I think we're going to do a lower one, trying to get some of you guys into this one. Hopefully, it's going to be quicker to join, too. I've done a couple of the Best Ball Mania ones, and been like 10 minutes before I can actually get into one. Now that they have 20 and 30-second ones. But that means it's going to be 30 seconds, I think. I don't know if they allow us to do 20 seconds ones on there too, so we'll probably do the 20-second one, but we won't join that yet. No more Underdog in New York, rip. I know, but I have, probably shouldn't say this on the Underdog sponsored videos, but we got DraftKings rankings as well. If you wanted to do DraftKings, I have that up on the site. Same exact thing as Underdog. Click download, upload to there. I pay more attention to the Underdog ones, but it's also computer based, so any change I make to all of the rankings change all of them, but is what it is. But yeah, we're gonna do puppy in this one. I'm just not gonna join it for a couple more seconds. So were you drafting again? We're doing the puppy in this one. Went through an update today, but I don't want to talk too much about those because it was because of the videos. Yeah, 20-second one. It was because of the videos tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, kind of putting together everything for all of those, changed up my thoughts. It was more mid-round guys. You're going to see once I load the rankings on the screen here. Pretty much everything for the early rounds is the same, but we changed up a few things in the middle rounds. Get things going there. Okay, we're going to do it. So if you guys are there, join now. I'm going to join in about 10 seconds. We're on a 10-second delay here. So join in right now. And then I'm going to go in. Okay. We'll see. 4 spots left. Okay. That's pretty good. If you're joining in that general time, you're probably getting into this one. We need 2 more people. So it's a $5 entry to get into this one. I think the same advancement structure, probably top 2 advanced and then difficult after that. I'm going to go on that assumption when drafting the video. I had someone ask me today what the difference between these drafts and the like marathon ones, where it's like just cumulative points over the full season as opposed to a playoff structure like all the Best Ball Mania, puppy ones, how those are kind of different when you draft. Only real difference, all the player analysis is obviously going to be the same. Only difference is in something like this, in the puppy and Best Ball Mania, it's okay to be unique. So it's okay to attempt a 3 running back build where it's like you got 3 sick running backs to start. 4 running back build where you go off a little bit. Like trying less wide receivers in a build. Try, doing something weird at tight end and quarterback. Like trying different things if you get value in the draft. More viable in this format because weird things can happen. What if you go with 2 elite tight ends? You go like somehow, I don't know if it's even possible to draft ADP wise, but you got Bowers and McBride, probably not optimal to do overall, but what if you ran into a season where literally they're outscoring the top tight ends by like, tight ends 3, 4, 5 by 1,000,000 points, right? Doing something unique like that can kind of help you out in a format like this, where maybe it is that Bowers drops a nuke in the first week of the playoffs, and then McBride does nothing the next 2 weeks, but then he goes off in the final week. Like, because of the structure, having a weird team can help you. When it's a full season, that's irrelevant, right? Like all I'm caring about in like the marathon is my total points over the season. So you just want to be safe. You want to draft a team that it's like a pretty good structure. You're not leaving a position too long. You're not going like weird into some of the we'll just draft Bijan here. You're not going weird into different things that can happen that like probably won't happen, but if they do really help you, they don't really help you because you just need a general decent build. So that was just basically the thinking there. Just be safe in the sprint, in the marathon. Try things out in the puppy, in Best Ball Mania. I'm not advocating for like always do a weird build. It's more like when there's value. Like if you run into a situation where ADPs are off and you're like, I would normally do this, but how many people have been able to do this? When that goes into your mind, be much more willing to do that in a contest like this because you got to finish really highly to make a difference. Even if you have a great team, you finish first in your pool, sick. You're basically getting your money back. Like you got to keep advancing, and all of it is basically, can you get a team to the final? That's where all the money is getting a team to the final. All right. I don't think there's any questions. Can't follow the video and draft as I'm on my phone. I feel like the YouTube app is pretty good, and it actually will let you do that. If you just like get rid of the YouTube app and you go into Underdog, like I have watched a video on YouTube with a little pop-up and then I'm pretty sure you can do that, unless maybe I'm thinking of YouTube TV. Maybe it's different. All right, no questions. Then we're going to talk about the players here, but fire away questions if you guys have any. First round. There's nothing different. This is basically following ADP, which it's pretty much always going to. Still of the opinion that there's a pretty clear top like 12, 13, 14, depending on if you want to take Bowers there and how you feel about McCaffrey. But the first 12 picks seem to be pretty locked in this season. And I have in the rankings, there's like a tier 1 of player I'm looking at just the regular half PPR rankings right now, but it's Saquon, Bijan, Chase, Gibbs, break, and then it's that whole rest of what happened here through 12, and then another tier break. So we'll see what we can do strategy-wise this season, but it can help, if you've got the 12 pick in some seasons where that break happens at like 7, 8, 9, and then it like really hurts you into that range. At least in this year, you could argue right now it's relatively fair because you're getting a player at 12 that is relatively similar to someone who you would have gotten at like 7, 8, 9. So nice to see. All right. What do we got? We are up in a second. We have Bijan on the team. I'd be totally fine taking JT at this spot. I've taken a ton of T and McBride recently, but I think that's just because I've gotten like 3 drafts in a row of like the 3rd or the 4th pick. So it feels like I'm doing them a lot. JT does go. That's unfortunate. Wanted to stack that. I feel like I would rather just go trade McBride at this spot, and then we'll see what we can do at tight end. I think take McBride. We're locked in at 2 really strong top positions because I'm going to get a good wide receiver at this spot, and I easily could have just taken 2 good wide receivers here, but I'm going to get a good player. I could also consider Jacobs. I know it'd be foregoing wide receiver for a while in a format that favors it, but I mean, we're going to have a million opportunities to draft wide receiver. All right. Well, Jacobs goes, so that's mute. So now we are definitely going to go with our top wide receiver, and really not much analysis because we can't stack. We don't also have the full schedules out either. I know we have like some games out there, but once the full schedule gets released, we'll try and remember, week 15, 16, 17 stacks for us. So I don't know who plays, Arizona, Atlanta. That would definitely be good to know. But obviously we would take Marv if he's available to stack with McBride. Other than that, there he goes. Everyone just drafting who I talk about. Probably McLaurin. I've been liking Rashee Rice, though, more recently. And I think I want to start taking him a little bit more. Again, I don't want to talk about it too much because it's the Friday. It's the Friday video talking about wide receivers rising by ADP. Kind of went over a general take there of, let's pull this up for you guys, why we might be a little bit more in on Rashee Rice than it seems that you should be, just given, he's coming off the injury. He's got the suspension looming. I don't know. In general, my take there, again, without giving too much away, is that it doesn't matter that much. Like, number one, playoffs, no matter what the format you're in, whether it's redraft or underdog, playoffs matter more than anything. So if you can just get to the playoffs, that's fine. Suspension, probably at most, 6 weeks? But odds are it's 4 or maybe 2 weeks. So that's not too much concern. Injury is not as bad as people think. It's not an ACL, it's an LCL. He can be 100% recovered by week 1. And it happens at a time of the year. Again, this doesn't help you for underdog, but in redraft, it happens at a time of the year if he's going to be suspended to start the year or start slow. Well, you have no bye weeks. You have no one injured, hopefully. No one injured by that point. So it's a time where you can make up for not having a player in your starting lineup. So I just feel like you're getting a player that if he was not suspended and he was not injured, which again, he might not be injured to start the year, that we would probably be taking in this sort of range in like the early second round. So getting him this late, you might be getting that value as soon as week like 5, and then you're just crushing the rest of season. If I can lock in, okay, running back 1, a tight end 1, a wide receiver 1. We're cooking right now in the draft. All right, let's be more prepared for this one. So, had I gone with McLaurin at the last one, then we'd be jumping up and down for Jaden Daniels at this spot. We didn't. I think because there's 3 really strong quarterbacks here, I wouldn't take one now. I would just kind of hope that maybe one of them goes to me at the next pick. But Jaden Daniels would be an option. Okay, Jaden Daniels gets taken. At running back, there's no real value there, so I don't think I want to do that. I would definitely take Devonta Smith at this pick, and I wouldn't take any tight ends. So I would take Devonta Smith. He's my top in the rankings by ADP. He's also top. It's lovely when that works out for you. Take him, and then hope that we can get Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is going really late this season. I still don't fully understand why, like, pick 50. We're in the 5th round, and you're just going to give me someone who could very easily finish as the quarterback 1 overall. I don't know. Maybe people are off him more on Underdog because of the stacking situation. Like, I think that's why Burrow is going as high as he is, because people know that the ceiling, and of course that like won people a bunch of money last season, but the ceiling, of course, of Burrow, Chase, Higgins, which is what you would have in this general range, right? This person right here drafted 1st overall, right? He got Jamar Chase. He could have pretty easily gotten T. Higgins. That's why Burrow goes in this spot, because a lot of people are building out a team like that. So you got to kind of think, why is someone going this early? But for Jalen Hurts, it's like, you can pretty easily have a game where he runs for a couple touchdowns and then throws, a bomb to Devonta Smith. Getting them this late, that stack, I don't know. Feels pretty good. And we get that thing I was kind of talking about before. Someone who we could literally have the quarterback 1 overall, the running back 1 overall, the wide receiver 1 overall, and who knows if Rashee Rice absolutely crushes. Probably not, but he could finish pretty highly at that spot, and that's really nice to have. Gives us a lot of upside. Okay. I think it's going pretty well. Again, the team, you can see it over here, lacking wide receiver. It's a format that likes wide receiver, best ball. You're starting 3 wide receivers. You're hoping that wide receivers in your flexes, they have these high weekly ceilings. We have a running back. We have a tight end. We can forego running back for a while. There's still a range where we might want to take a running back at the next one, but we can afford to forego it. Tight end, we can definitely forego to go it because, in round 2, if we're taking tight end, we're assuming Trey McBride is awesome this season. So we don't need to take a tight end right now. There's still ones that I like, but like we can afford to really hammer wide receiver here if we want to. All right. Are there any questions in the chat? Again, feel free to throw any in there. What do you make of the Packers wide receiver room right now? Same questions for the Texans. So initially, I was pretty in on Golden because the community is off on him, like the dynasty community. And my first part of my answer is a dynasty answer. Just because he's a younger wide receiver, not why they're off on him, why I'm in on him. People are off on him because he's a speed wide receiver going to a team that spreads the ball out. And that's all fair. I liked him because I think that he's just better than people think. Early declare kind of throws out some of that non-production stuff. Just because you're fast doesn't mean you're going to be a bust. And it's an offensive situation that can really utilize his talent. So I like him long term. I would be concerned, though, this season, especially in a redraft league, that they are not going to have a number 1 wide receiver. They are going to spread these wide receivers out. They are going to have plays where 4 wide receivers are on the field. They are going to utilize them in different ways. Savion Williams are even going to try to mix into the rotation. So it's going to be a million wide receivers in this team. In redraft, that's going to be frustrating. It's probably not a situation where you want it in redraft. But Dynasty, I still think he has a great career. I like him long term. Best ball, what we're doing right now, I still think that, this offense is going to produce a lot of spiked games, and he is a player that they are going to utilize downfield. And so you can still absolutely draft him in this format. I think redraft is probably the one where I like him the least, especially just this season. But also, that's probably where he's going by far the latest. Okay, at this pick, is kind of what I was talking about. We're in a really good range right now for running back. Like, I love Henderson, Judkins, Montgomery, even Caleb here. I think it's a really good spot for us to attack it. We're also at a spot where my top-ranked player and the ADP both have Henderson, so it makes sense to grab him. So we won't even talk about that more. We'll take him. That was kind of why I was saying, like, it makes sense to hammer wide receiver, but we're just going to miss out. So at running back here, we take him. Honestly, I would consider this range as well, Judkins and Caleb. And then after that, it's easily a drop off into a lot of these other players. And so if I can kind of get the end of this tier, I will do so. If not, maybe we actually will end up taking, Golden is my top player. And yeah, unfortunately, we don't know any sort of stack that's possible here. But I kind of want to just take Judkins, and now we're locked and loaded at running back. We're getting good value for all these guys. I'm not going to take a tight end. Quarterback, I'm not going to take. So it would be him, or we take one of these three receivers. I think we just go with Judkins. We'll let the computer kind of auto draft that one. Because again, I like some of these guys, but I know for a fact some of these guys are going to be gone on our next pick. I like Aaron Jones. I like Swift, Warren, Cam. Pretty sure all will be gone. Then it's basically Mason, Tootin, take a shot on the Dallas running backs, take a shot on Benson, and then you're just crossing your fingers and hoping someone does something. And since all those running backs that I mentioned before are going to be gone at our next pick, take these guys, wait a while. We'll take probably 2 more shots at running back in the later rounds. I just don't have to worry about the position. We've got Jalen Hurts, so we're not too concerned with our second quarterback. We should probably just take that when there's value. And, of course, we would like Kyler because we have McBride, so that's going to be one that we're looking at. Tight end, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's necessary for us to take one right now. So the odds are, what's Kyler? I'll pull this up for you guys. Kyler's going to be pick 94. He goes ADP 95. So, and this guy doesn't even have a quarterback. Do they have any Arizona players? You could take, no, and this guy's got Marv. Remember, he sniped us on Marv. So we should absolutely take Kyler at 94 if he's there. And then we got to start hammering out the wide receiver position. Okay. I like how this team is working out so far, though. That was kind of my answer, though, to the wide receiver room for the Packers. It's just redraft leagues. I want to actually I'm going to pull up Fantasy Pros, and let's just see exactly where they have him going right now, because that's your best indication of a redraft ADP. My guess is it's a lot later than we're seeing on the screen for here. Golden. They have him going as a wide receiver 53, 132nd overall. What even is that? Anyone off the top of their head what 132nd overall is in a snake draft? It is 11-12. So the last pick in round 11. So that's why I say there's kind of like a difference. This right here, this is where he goes in redraft. But this is where he went on Underdog. So that's the difference. It's like, I like him the most in Underdog, in Best Ball. Like him a lot less in redraft. But because he's going at the last pick around 11, you can look at that and be like, okay, well, but what if he does work out? Like, what if he actually is their best wide receiver? That's a pretty good spot. Wide receiver 53, that's someone you're not really expecting a lot from. So I still like him in all these formats, but obviously I like him less. His ADP is lower. Okay. Like I said, we're going to go with Kyler with this pick. I am assuming that no one's going to take him. This guy's probably the biggest threat to take him. If he goes Ibuka, I will absolutely take. Ibuka goes, okay, well, we'll take Kyler. We don't even need to really think about that. So we have our stacks. We don't even have to think about really stacks anymore. I'll probably stack Arizona a little bit more after, but we have Kyler to McBride, and we've got Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. We're locked and loaded at running back. We've got 2 good quarterbacks. We're looking good at tight end. Wide receiver. Wide receiver is a problem for us right now. Rashee Rice could be suspended to start the year for 6 games. Who knows? Like, that could absolutely happen. And so we literally would only have Devonta Smith to start things off, and we are in round 9. So we're going to need to take a lot of these wide receivers. But I think we can do it. I think we can, have value there. And maybe Henderson, Judkins, they can get enough volume early in the year, which I think they can, to really, fill that hole at flex to where we only need 3 wide receivers instead of the 4 that we're sometimes hoping to use. I like Pittman. Not anyone else likes Pittman, but I know the passing volume is going to be lower. To me, he is a very talented player who is playing through a very difficult injury last season to play through, and he still played well as a player. He's still their best wide receiver on the team. If they can figure anything out in the passing game, like they literally had games where they were throwing the ball like 15 total times. If they can figure the passing game out at all, he's going to be good as a 9th round pick. He's far too talented to be in the 9th round. Sometimes you got to look at these ranges and be like, who's just really good? And he's a better wide receiver than literally everyone on this list right now as we're scrolling by like a lot. So I've been loading up on Pittman in this general range. I think that was very good that we were able to add him to the squad because we're looking a little bit rough again at at the receiver spots. We're going to need more of those. Okay. Oh, we got someone in the 5 spot. What's the 5 spot looking like right now? Jefferson, Ladd, Terry. Love starting off the wide receivers. Hampton, Ridley, James Conner, Pearsall, Jonnu, Jalen. I mean, most of those are guys that I very much like. Ridley is the one that I'm going to talk about that in the Friday video as well. I'm a little bit off right now, but that's like literally it. So good. Good team so far. Okay. Jaden Reed underrated. I think that's the problem with the Packers, again, is you've got Jaden Reed. You got Savion Williams, who's someone they're going to utilize in the slot sometimes, a big slot receiver. They're going to give end arounds too. That takes away from Jaden Reed. But you've just got so many guys that are, yes, good, that they literally will tell you time and time again when you ask them who's their number one. They talk about how much they hate number one because it's like they just have a bunch of guys that are good. As far as the Houston question's concerned, I mean, obviously Nico's awesome. He's obviously their number one. I like Higgins as a prospect. I just don't know right now, like how exactly they're going to use him. Noel, same thing. It's like decent prospect, but if he's slot only, does that mean he's actually going to see the field? Are they going to use Higgins in the slot? Like, how's that working out? What's the split between him and Christian Kirk? So I'm mostly off Noel and Christian Kirk. You know, for the most part, Jaden Higgins would be the one that I'd be most excited about. I mean, his biggest comp is literally Nico Collins, but it's Nico. Nico is still going to be the guy by a mile. Okay, other questions. Do you think Tyreek has fallen down ADP too far and is a good value based on historical production? I do agree with that. I do end up with Tyreek a lot just because it's like, you know, this latest – hold on, I'll kind of answer that in a second. This latest injury or whatever, surgery, was literally just to remove like pins or wherever they were, the screws in his wrist. That's not a concern to us. That just is what happens when you have an injury and they put screws in to take him out after. Like, I'm not really concerned about that. Sure, he's not gonna be ready for like the very beginning of camp, but who cares? It's Tyreek Hill. He doesn't need any sort of camp. He could play in week 1 and be totally fine. We're gonna go with Shaheed, another player I think is very undervalued. My rank, look at this, 92 to 115. Look overall, it's working out pretty well that we're getting like either top or second by ADP is also a player that we wanted to draft in that spot. Again, I'll answer that question in a second. I'm a little bit scared of Mims. I know he needs to go wide receiver here. Do we go Hollywood and we just say, give us both wide receivers on Kansas City or 2 wide receivers in Kansas City and just hope to kind of flip-flop production? Mims just scares me because they like, what's his name? Patrick? No, what's his name? Who's the rookie in Denver? Someone help me out there. They like him a lot. It seems like Sean Payton really likes him. It's another situation there where there's so many wide receivers that... Oh, did someone draft? They drafted Ingram and Warren. I was looking at that second tight end spot. We don't have a stack, right? I just want to verify. Okay, so Goddard at 143 will be part of our stack. There's just so many wide receivers on that team. No, I think I would prefer to go Hollywood. I'm probably wrong with this pick, would be my guess. But I'm just thinking from a game theory perspective, in the weeks that you don't have Rashee Rice, that would increase the value of Hollywood in those games. So we're kind of helping ourselves out. When we don't have Rashee to begin the season, he'll have more value. He is a deep threat. Not a very good one historically, like efficiency-wise, but he is a deep threat that can still hit. You got to think like, yes, the production was terrible last season, but I mean, let's be honest. He had like no time. Like he gets hurt in camp. He has to be ramped up at the very end of the season. There was never time to gel, time to develop in the offense for him. And basically just saying, give me 2 Kansas City wide receivers. They're going to have some good games. Can I just kind of have both of them kind of add into production there? But yeah, I would have liked to, I think, get Ingram there. I'm just concerned about Marvin Mims and that they have so many wide receivers. The target share ceiling for him is just only so high. I know we went off in the playoff game to really like that one hurt me. So he catches that ball and it was week 17, 16, 17, whatever the championship week is, 17. Had he dropped that pass, I would have made an extra $7,000 in the Best Ball Mania. So my team got passed by so many people because he catches that touchdown. That forces the Bengals to start playing. They're doing a bunch. I didn't have any Bengals. I didn't have any Denver players. And there's just so many more fantasy points happened in that game because of that catch. Yeah, I did the math after I lost $7,000. So that was very unfortunate. Still very grateful to have a team make it to the final last season. But that was tough watching that play out. Basically knowing that after, because that was like the first game of the week, knowing in the first game of the week that I was just not live for the million was a little bit tough, but is what it is. Kirk over Hollywood. Again, I can see that, and I think maybe it's Pat Bryan. That's what it is. I knew it was Pat something. I think on my team, Hollywood makes more sense for the reasons I said. If we start slow, we don't want to lose too many points early in the season. If Rice starts slow, because he's not playing. But again, back to the Tyreek question in the exact same spot before that we might have to ditch. I do think he's a good value at this point, whether he plays for another team or not, whether the injury is something we should be concerned about. At this point, he is a good pick. He's going in like the 3rd round. It's Tyreek Hill. In a format like this, especially, you take that. Yeah, I mean, I think Goddard's just the obvious play here. We know he's going to be involved in the offense. He's not going to stand out and be amazing, but I don't need that. McBride's going to be my amazing pick. When he has a bad game, take the stable production from Dallas Goedert. We get the stack with Jalen Hurts. We have Hurts, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert now. That's looking lovely. We might not have to take a 3rd tight end. We need receivers. This is a problem. We don't have very many of them. We could go with McMillan. I'm curious, is his ADP stabilizing or not? Is it still free falling? I don't know if I'm going to be able to run it in time. Oh, he goes anyways. Okay. Is Tillman? We don't have any stack, right? Because Wilson's way later than this, and there's no one on Philadelphia. All right, we'll take Tillman. I probably should have looked at running back and seen what was there, but I still want to check out if McMillan is stabilizing at all. And what I mean by stabilizing is basically you can track ADP on the website for free. Okay, it's not. So this is a free page on the website. It's just the ADP Rises and Follows tab. And if you go to player ADP, you can see this was production. This was basically what he was pre-draft is what that means. And then the draft happens. We know we get his Buka. Boom. Once we start to see McMillan start to even off and kind of stabilize a little bit more, then you can start to think, okay, do I like this ADP? If you see it free falling like this for a player, they're going to keep going down. It's not going to stabilize right at this spot. So you're going to soon see him closer to pick 150. And then we can start to be, okay, is it going to be 150? Is it going to be 155? You don't really want to take a player at 147 when they're free falling past 147 because people later are going to get them at a way better value than this. So that's just the general idea of that kind of process. If you guys want to see anyone else, I can throw them on the screen. You caught one live, smash the like button. Yes, hit the like button. It doesn't really matter for these videos, but hit the like button regardless to make me feel better. Glad you could get one in live. Okay, other questions. Rashid Rice is a beast. He is. When fully healthy, he's a beast. And I think he can be fully healthy in week 1. All right. Apologies, addressed it already. Curious your thoughts on the RTA. And, okay, I don't know what RTA is. Help me out with that one. I know ETR. Leg up tools. Oh, basically their overlay. So I will say this. No shade at either of those companies, whatever. I don't know who RTA is. I was told specifically by Underdog that overlays are not legal. Like I was literally told by Underdog, you cannot build anything that has an overlay on the website. So I don't know how they worked around that. I really don't think it's a big deal. And I don't think it's going to impact anything. The people who were using overlays that are going to have that now. So basically Underdog now has a tool where not only do the rankings come up here, but they're basically just going to highlight players that you should be drafting, and it kind of factors into your team, basically like bumping up value of players who would benefit your team a little bit more. I have a few thoughts on that. One, the people who were doing that were already good at drafting. Like they were already taking those sort of things into account. It's truly not going to impact their teams that much. People can figure out what the best pick is, what best general pick is for their team. I think, by the way, I think we take Wilson next round. So not this one, probably. Yeah, see, the running backs are gross. I don't want any of them. I think I might go Wandale with this pick. Make sure I go there. I don't really want Dobbs. Again, Wilson with the next pick. No, they're stacked. Yeah, I think that's what we'll end up doing. I've taken Gesicki in a disgusting amount of drafts. He would also be an option. Like, let's just say we get sniped on Wilson, kind of taking him at the next pick. But again, Wandale, I don't think these guys are going to take Michael Wilson. I mean, he's the third by ADP, and they don't have the stacking partner, so it just wouldn't make much sense. Excuse me. But yeah, the people who are doing that are the people who are already good. It's not like you're taking the terrible drafters who weren't using rankings and all of a sudden they're using these tools. They don't even know about the tools, right? The people who are not paying attention to ETR don't know about the tool, aren't using the tool. It's not going to change that. The people who are already good are just maybe going to be marginally better. But also, when it's recommending things, you got to understand that like we're using a one sample. So when I did simulations, I simulated 500 years of drafts to kind of figure out the best strategies, right? There are years where really good strategies overall are terrible, like just don't work out at all. And so you can look at these things and say, yes, you can draft quote unquote optimally, but we're in a 1 year sample. And even if you draft an optimal team, you kind of build where you should be. Weird things happen year to year, and every year is weirder than anyone thinks. Like every year we look back at the end of the year and we're like, that was crazy, but it happens every single year. So again, I've looked at builds that are very optimal over time, and then you break down individual years within that. And some years builds are absolutely terrible, right? Like, I don't want to get into too many specifics, but it's truly not going to help as much as people think. So I wouldn't be up in arms about it. That's my general thought. Again, I don't know who RTA is though. Not betting it, but I think it's possible Rice can get wide receiver 1 overall. Oh yeah, it's absolutely possible he could be the number 1 overall. Hold on, let me make sure you guys can see everything here. I think you guys like it when I do it more like this. Team 11 is garbage. All right, let's see. What's Team 11? So they went RB0. They got Brian Thomas, Hunter McMillan, Addison, Jawan, Downs. They stacked Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young, which is no real ceiling weekly. That hurts. Running backs are Brian Robinson, Mason, Tootin, Blue. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty bad team. Just took Anthony Richardson, completely uncorrelated. Do you even have a Carolina pass catcher? Okay, you do have Ted. Okay, good. Yeah, it's not that good. Okay. You can't see yourself giving Bijan another shot. Wasn't Bijan like the number 2 running back last year? Let me pull that up. Number 3 in PPR, number 4. I mean, he had 1,900 yards and 15 touchdowns with, let's say, 61 receptions. Like, if you could give me that again this year, I'd probably take him right where I took him. 1,900 yards and 15 touchdowns with 61 receptions on 365 touches. I'll take it. I'll take that production. So I don't know. He didn't bust last season. All right. We didn't really pay attention yet. So we will need another running back. As much as we hate the running backs here. All right. We're 1 pick away. I mean, Sampson probably. It's Sampson, Jaquez. I like Woody. I don't think anyone else likes Woody, but I like Woody. I don't hate Tesla here either. But I think we need to go back to running back. So I think Sampson makes the most sense for us. Do we have any stacks left? If it's Arizona, Philly, no, there's no stacks I should be looking at here. Take a gander at tight end. I don't think so. I'm fine going with a 3 tight end build, but taking McBride and Goddard, I think we're fine there. We're just crossing our fingers we don't get the bye week in the same. If we get the same bye week for Arizona, Philly, that'll be unfortunate. We really need that whole schedule to come out so that we just avoid some of those situations. We have 2 more picks. One should be running back. Should we go with a 9th wide receiver? Rice, Devonta. Yeah, I think we need to go with the 9th wide receiver. I don't feel confident enough in these guys. So I think this pick, I do like Hunter more than Woody Marks, but I'll take Woody Marks if not. And I think I'd rather lock him up because after those 2, if we get sniped, I mean, I don't have any confidence in any of those running backs. So I think take Jaquez Hunter. Good. Tesla will probably be gone, but we'll just take our top wide receiver after that, and we will call it a day. Lovely. I think this team worked out pretty well. Again, we'll break it down at the end of it. But yeah, I don't know what that comment means. Giving Bijan another shot. You're in the 8 spot. Thoughts? 8 spot is here. We got Amon-Ra, Adams, Metcalf, Reed, Kirk, Pat Bryant. How many wide receivers is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're probably going to want 2 more receivers, my guy. So I'd want more receivers there. Achane, Walker, Aaron Jones, Eckler. I like those first 3. I'm not in love with Eckler, but I love those first 3 running backs. Goff, Fields, Stroud. It's a little early probably to take 3. Okay, you took Tesla. Nice. And that's actually a really good pick with Goff. That's good. That's a really good pick. Mason Taylor, Schultz, Laporta. Part of me thinks like this Schultz pick, I know you wanted to correlate it with Stroud, but I feel like the Stroud pick kind of hurt you because it made you take Stroud. It made you take Schultz. You're thin at running back. I mean, you only have Achane, Ken, Aaron Jones, and Eckler. So you're gonna have to go probably running back with this pick, actually. I think that pick hurt you. I wouldn't have taken Stroud there. I'd have probably just gone with the 2 quarterbacks, and then you wouldn't have had to go here, and it would just helped you out a little bit more. But I think good pick overall. I like a lot of the players there. In Dynasty PPR, should I go with Harvey, Golden, or Ibuka? I'm pretty sure. I'll just check. I'm pretty sure I have that Harvey, Ibuka, Golden. But I will confirm. In the app, you can see the Dynasty rankings, so I'll pull that up. Dynasty rankings have Harvey, Ibuka, Golden. There you have that. Pat Bryant, thank you. Franklin, again, that's another receiver. I wasn't talking about Franklin. I was talking about Pat Bryant. But Franklin's another receiver they have. That's what makes me nervous about Marvin Mims. What are your thoughts on those former reception perception champions like Pittman, Ayuk, Kupp, Diggs, who are going super late now? I'll answer that in a second because I have different takes on all of them. But I kind of actually went over Pittman. I just think he's such a good receiver that what are we doing? We don't want, we want the other receiver. You can go with Jalen Lane. I don't hate Tutu, actually. Maybe I go with Tutu here. They gave him a $10 million contract for just this year. And I know they have Adams now, but they need a 3rd receiver. They lost Robinson, right? DeMarcus? Yeah, he's in San Fran now, so they don't even have him on the team. He's going to be a deep threat. I like Tutu. I feel like I need to move him up a little bit. I don't remember where I had him in the ranking, but I think I need to move him to a late pick there. All right, here is the... Oh, there we go. There's the draft. And we'll go over the team in a second. For those guys, Pittman, Ayuk, Kupp, Diggs. I love Pittman. I think he's a way better receiver than people think. He was playing with like a broken back, not actually broken, but he was playing a terrible back injury last season with horrible volume, and he still got there sometimes. I think he's going to surprise people this year, and the ADP is awesome. With Ayuk, it's a little bit more of a question mark because I don't actually know when he's going to be healthy, and I do actually think that like Pearsall and Juwan are actually very good wide receivers, very underrated wide receivers. and can both command a decent amount of targets. And of course, you've got McCaffrey there, you've got Kittle there. So it's like they can pretty easily ramp him up and not give him a huge workload. And then you're coming off a big injury. How good is he off the injury? So that's more of my concern with Ayuk. So I think his ADP makes sense. If anything is potentially too early, I have him ranked behind ADP. Cup, I think, is totally fine. You're just rolling the dice with Cup. You're just being like, can he do something? Because the opportunity is totally there. He's a good wide receiver. It's can he stay healthy? Can he carve out a good role? And what do they do for the slot? Who's in the slot here? Is it JSN? Is it Cup? What's the play volume like? Like a lot of unknowns there, but good spot if you want to roll the dice, you can. And then Diggs, I talked about that in the Friday video. I'm a little bit off Diggs right now because of the injury for him as well. Changing teams. It's going to be 32 in, I think, November. Don't love that first year off a torn ACL. Not necessarily even going to play a lot in the slot with Douglas there. I'm a little more concerned about him. So in order of my liking at ADP, it is Pittman by a mile, then Cup, then probably Ayuk, and then Diggs. But I don't find myself drafting Ayuk or Diggs really ever. Cup a little bit and Pittman a lot. What are you ranking the consensus top 5? I mean, it's probably how they have it on the screen here. Chase, Saquon, Bijan, Lamb, Jefferson. If we're talking about redraft, it's probably more of a consensus top 7 and then a drop. Right now in half PPR, I have Saquon, Bijan, Chase, Gibbs, Jefferson, Lamb, Genty. And then I kind of have, it's not listed out as a tier break, but there's a relatively decent tier break after that. Probably a pretty clear top 4 instead of top 5, saying Saquon, Bijan, Chase, Gibbs. Chase is easily the number 1 wide receiver, and it is a pretty clear gap of Saquon, Bijan, and Gibbs ahead of Genty. But if you wanted to kind of include Jefferson and Lamb because they're awesome, and Genty in there, that kind of fills out a top 7, and then you get into a huge range of Puka, Neighbors, St. Brown, Nico, and Brian Thomas to close out that 12. So right now, if you ask me what the worst pick in drafts is, I would say 8, because you're getting the same player as 12. You just missed out on a top 7, and then in round 2, it's not really benefiting you all that much being at 8. So that's probably the worst pick in drafts. Real-time assistant is RTA. Oh, I thought it was a company. Yeah, again, shared my thoughts on that. I don't think it's that much of a concern. It's going to be good people using it. They were good before. Drafting optimally over time does not mean optimally for this season. Realistically, a lot of the time, it's just going to have people drafting the top ETR rank anyway, which is already what drives all these ADPs. Like, understand, when ETR makes an update to their rankings, ADPs change. You can literally track, we push an update, and you can see, the ADP, you can track it on the curve, and you can see it changing with that. That's just going to do that to a larger degree, which can benefit us, because if a ton of people doing these drafts are all using the exact same rankings, taking people at the same spot, if you just know why people are taking them and where they're going to take them, you can utilize that as leverage. Okay. Answer questions after that in a second, but feel free to keep throwing questions out there. I think the team worked out pretty well. So we've got 3 running backs I love. Bijan, Henderson, Judkins. Again, you want to be attacking the rookie running backs this season. Henderson, Judkins going to get a ton of touches. They're going to be awesome. I wouldn't be surprised if they see their ADPs rise from these spots. So we have those 3 kind of locked in there. We wait a long time. We grab Sampson, and we basically say, okay, I didn't even realize this. It's during the draft, maybe it was subconscious. I do like taking 2 backfields or 2 backs in a backfield in this format, just being like, okay, I think these 2 are the 1-2. I like doing the same thing with Aaron Jones and Mason, being like, I didn't draft a ton of running backs. Just give me Cleveland running back points. I don't think that Jerome Ford is going to be utilized all that much. I think it's mostly going to be Sampson and Judkins. Whoever scores, whoever has a good game, just give me that in one of the spots, and then we only have to fill in one of the spots after that with Bijan, with Henderson, with Jaquez Hunter, who I've talked about liking. You're going to see a lot of my teams have a ton of rookie running backs this season. We take McBride and Dallas Goedert. I think that's good. We get both the stacks for quarterbacks. It is smart doing stacks with quarterbacks and tight ends. Tight ends value come from touchdowns. Who throws that? The quarterback. So you see a heavy correlation between tight ends having a really good game and quarterbacks having a good game as well. And then we get, I think, a good wide receiver core. Rice, Devonta, Pittman, Shaheed, Hollywood, Cedric, Wandale. Michael Wilson and Tutu. Obviously, the later ones are not as good, but I think all of them have good value. I did a draft the other day. I saw this again. I took another Cleveland player where I drafted Shuden Sanders at the very last pick in the draft. Not something I would totally recommend, but if you find yourself drafting these guys and you can't get a quarterback, it's risky. It's super risky. But if I took Hurts, I'm hoping that Hurts can just kind of fill in for then when maybe Shuden becomes available, because he's also a player that isn't being drafted. So if Shuden Sanders ends up being good and he takes over, and Cleveland is a good offense, you're not competing against that many people who actually have him if your team can make it to the final. Okay. Appreciate the response. Knew you'd have a level-headed take on the matter. You should check Underdog's tweet they made addressing overlays. Oh, okay. I didn't know they had a tweet about it. But yeah, again, they told me it wasn't legal. You guys still think, can other people also say, do they think the volume's still low? I can bump it up a teensy bit. You said that last week, but then we said we were good on it. We're in this right now. That's a little bit more. We'll just keep marginally making it bigger over time until you guys tell me it's perfect. Okay. How's your team 5 looking as we wrap up here? So I go over team 5. I did go over team 5, and I remember liking it. You took a risk with the quarterbacks, obviously, but at this point you take 3. When you go McCarthy, Ward, Shuck, it's pronounced Shuck apparently, you got to take all 3 of them. Did you grab? So I like if you'd gotten Olave. If you could get Olave and like Kamara with Shuck, I think that's a lot better. Did you stack at all with him? Are you hoping that and also you took Amari and you took Chubb, just praying that they're ending up in good landing spots and on teams and don't retire and stuff. But yeah, I think I like a lot of these players on the team. Just again, I have the take on Ridley. I'm not in love with it. Did you get told a long time ago, Underdog? I think it was last year that I got told. Do you have any auction content this season? Imagine you can leverage your value to translate the auction prices. So there are auction prices on, if you want to see, this is right now what the rankings look like. There's an auction column, so you can see the auction values there. But then we also have an auction tool. It's a really good Google sheet that will take into account inflation and deflation. You can draft on the screen with it. You can type in the players that are being drafted and everything, see your team. You can put different builds in there to see kind of how things work out, how you want to budget things. It's a really good tool. Do the week for quarterback and tight end really matter that much? Even for quarterback, I think losing 18 points in expected value, tight end less than 18. Okay, so that is a good take. So what we've seen historically is 1 to 2, no, doesn't matter. If you end up with the best team, typically the best team just crushes. It just finishes by a lot. There is a difference between 2-3. 2-3 can be a lot closer than 1-2. If you end up with the best team, losing that quarterback spot, losing that, for tight end, yeah, you're probably only losing 7 or 8 expected points. That probably won't matter. It can impact you on the 2-3. Also, if you look at optimal builds, unless you're spending really heavily at tight end, it is kind of optimal to take that third tight end. Again, Bowers and McBride, I probably would just take 2. Taking that third, getting a potentially better score in that bye week can benefit you a little bit more when you're looking at if you took Njoku, Ertz, Pat. Okay, I wouldn't take 4. This person took Fannin. I wouldn't have done that. But only having Njoku and Ertz, now you can start to tell a story of that's a little bit thin. If you're also taking into account the bye week, you're okay, I'm taking a 0 in a spot. Ertz is a million years old. Njoku has Fannin. Now you're a little bit more concerned. But yeah, taking early, you're less concerned. The quarterback hurts a little bit more. Losing 18 expected points is tough, but again, it's only going to impact you if you're not the best team. Perhaps using your sleeper study to analyze optimal draft strategies to watch for constructions that you aren't able to attain in a regular snake draft. Oh. Problem with that is I actually haven't looked yet. I haven't had time. I don't think there's enough drafts for auction in that. I literally have, I think it's 1.05 million teams in it now. I still don't think, even given that, I don't think there's enough auction drafts even in there, but it would be great. Yes. It would also be great if there were 40 hours in a day. I.e. drafting multiple first. Yeah, that would be something you look at is teams that draft multiple players who had an ADP in the first round. How did they fare versus average? How did people fare having a bunch of mid-rounders? I will tell you this, just playing auction sometimes, looking at other teams. Typically, the teams that don't spend up at anything and take more of those mid-rounds, they usually get steamrolled because there are a bunch of busts in the mid-rounds. Success rate drops off a cliff. You're just guaranteeing you're taking busts. A lot of times those teams also overspend. It's like sometimes spending up in auction leagues can just force yourself to get some good players onto your roster, players you know are going to succeed, and then force yourself to be a little bit, more cautious later on and search for really good values instead of being like, I like this guy, I like this guy, I like this guy, and just constantly kind of overspending. And you look at the end and you're like, wow, the difference between my overspend on a fourth rounder and just taking a second rounder didn't even end up being that different. So I am of the opinion that I would find that people who spend up do better. But again, I don't know if there'll be enough data for it, but I will try if I get time. Can you rank your top 3 teams in this draft specifically? That would take a long time to do. I would say probably not. First team's not bad. I don't think team 2. I'm doing this very fast. I like this build, team 9, doing a hero, getting these wide receivers, getting a stack of Chicago with Caleb. I like this team a lot. I like the Chicago stacks a lot. I've ended up with those a few times. I like the players on team 10. Do they have... No, they don't have Burrow. Or Herbert. I would like it more if you got that LAC stack. I feel like my favorite team is probably team 9. My team, team 9... Top 2. I don't know. We'll go with the top 2 there. Thoughts on Achane this year? I feel like the Dolphins don't want to rely heavily on Achane getting all those touches. See Gordon Wright. His insane efficiency should come down to earth. Well, he's been insanely efficient for 2 years. He's just like, well, it came down to earth last season. I tend to agree with the take that they probably looked at what they did last year and were like, we force-fed him a little bit too much, but they kind of had to because they didn't trust their other guys. I want to look into Gordon a little bit. I know at least one person that I respect likes him, but I haven't looked in at all. I know my model doesn't care for him just because he was drafted late, but I'll look into him a little bit because it would be nice. Like, if I can really like him, then maybe we can start taking him late because, right, I mean, he was given an opportunity last season. I think if he was good last year, they probably wanted to last year not give Achane a billion touches. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned. I don't think I've drafted Achane in a single draft so far. It's just much more range where it's like he's going here. I mean, I trust A.J. Brown. I trust Jake London. I trust Ladd McConkey. I'm just going to end up taking them. I mean, Bucky's in that spot. JT I would probably take over Achane. You could go with Bowers or McBride. It becomes a spot where I'm like taking Achane almost by default. Yeah, I don't love it. They said they had it for quite a while. Well, that's not what they told me. Okay, so I think we're going to end that one here. When we get later into the summer, we'll start doing 2 of the drafts, and we'll probably get the next one going quicker, and it'll probably turn into closer to like an hour and a half, maybe an hour 15 for these. But no more questions. We got through all of those. Come next week with questions. Like the video if you've not done so already. There will be a video tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday going over ADP changes for running backs tomorrow, wide receivers on Friday, Saturday. I haven't actually made yet, and I forget what it is. Oh, it's people I don't like, basically. People I don't like in drafts. So hit the like button. If any of the 74 of you are somehow not subscribed, do so. Catch you guys on the next week's stream.